And welcome to the Writer's Life, the place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life, where you get bruises. Can you see it?
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, I hit the 45-pound bar, just
Oh,
wailed it. And I take I take aspirin, blood thinner, right? I don't know
mhm.
why she says I need it, but anyway, she says. And so, even the slightest tap will give me a bruise. But
Turns into
anyway,
a bruise. Yeah,
right. I'm getting ahead of my skis here. Sight sounds, I did all that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Punch the like button, and tap the bell for notifications, so you don't miss out on one single exciting fucking video. Don't forget to go to the store, vinceandrew.com, for all your thriller needs. And you can buy some books direct for less, but I'm not supposed to say that anymore because apparently Amazon, if they get wind of it, they screw you over on the algorithm, or so I've heard. I don't know. I don't
yeah.
know what's going on. We could talk about it. But I have a very exciting guest again today. You're becoming an old favorite, and that
There you
is
go.
Troy Lambert, best-selling fiction writer, nonfiction writer, journalist, um, content creator for businesses. Plus, you're like the Frieder of Idaho's writing society. I don't know how you got that one. He's just bad. If writing is my life, writing is Troy's universe.
Pretty much.
I bow down to him, and we even work together on some things. But Troy, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, good, awesome. Been a great day.
Yeah.
Busy, as always. As always.
Troy just told me that he's like, "Give me 1 minute. I got to scarf down some lunch," and I started laughing because so many people have this idea, and we were sort of green rooming this idea. So many people have the idea that full-time authors, writers, whatever, we go out for these long lunches and have cocktails, and that's the only reason to get dressed out of our pajamas, and our life is like Hunter Thompson, just debauchery
Yeah.
all the time, and we're drunk by 3, or whatever. And I got to be honest, folks, nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, even before, I don't do show prep. I just want this to be free form and just talk. I'm talking to a friend. And I have 2 computers. One I devote to writing, and the other is more like my business stuff. But right up until we go live, I'm working on something, and
Yeah.
just staying ahead of the curve, because
Every day.
yeah,
Every day. And what's funny to me is people they go, okay, well, why aren't people more successful as a full-time writer? And the reason is they want the title and they want the life, but they don't want to work for it.
right, no question,
And I'm like, the reason you don't achieve your dreams is because they show up covered in dirt and it looks a lot like work.
right,
I mean, I'm up at 6:30 every day.
yeah,
Like, that's my life, right? I go to the gym,
yeah,
all it can, because we have to somehow maintain our
we
health
have because we sit
unless we
too
want
much,
to turn into a slug.
right,
Yeah.
right,
And then, you know what I mean? So we have a life. We have a life to live, and it's, we have a lot to do besides just writing books.
right,
So it's just not that simple. I wish it was. That would be really cool,
yeah,
but it's not.
yep.
So
I mean,
yeah,
I honestly, when I started out, I mean, granted, I get to travel and all that sort of stuff because you can do this anywhere. We can. That's a perk. All that kind of stuff, and we have. We're free to do what we want, how we want to do it, rather, or whatever. But I honestly, when I first started this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be living like Hemingway. I'll be write a little bit in the morning and then fish all day, and you know, and you know, go over to Sloppy Joe's at around 3, and you know, and like, you know, and then reality sort of hit me that like he was married to one of the richest women, not only in the United States but in the world. He was married.
Yeah.
He was married to Pauline Pfeiffer, and John Hemingway told me that Pfeiffer eventually morphed into Pfizer. So you can see where that, you know, where that came from.
Yeah.
So like, you know, so Papa was like, I only need to write a book a decade. The
Yeah.
rest of the time I can
Yeah.
screw around.
Which is not our life. I
No.
mean, because I tell people like, okay, I could take Friday off. Like, I'd love to take off this Friday,
Right.
go up to a hot spring when the rest of the world is not at that hot spring,
Right.
right?
Sure.
But what that means is I work on Saturday then.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean that I get to skip a day.
Right.
You know, I don't have PTO. I don't have vacation time.
Right. You don't.
You know, that's not the way this job works.
No.
The way this job works is when you work, you get paid.
Right.
You know, that's not the way it works.
Right.
So, you know, that impression that people have, I'm like, yes, I can do whatever I want. I can rearrange my schedule. But if I take off all morning, then I work late at night.
Right. Yep.
Because that's the trade-off. The hours still have to happen. The words still have to happen.
Right.
Just a matter, they have to happen sometime. Just doesn't matter when. I'm not tied to a 9 to 5 schedule working for the man. But at the same time, you got to work.
Right. And then there's the marketing end of it, you know, social media marketing. I find myself now, I'll finish up my day and I'm like, all right, I got to take a break. My eyes are like shot. And, you know, like I'm always saying, like I'll go out and grab a beer somewhere and just, you know, just kind of, you know, chill out for a little bit.
Reset.
And then I find myself coming back and like, well, I got to do a little marketing and work it for another hour. And, you know, and only then will I, you know, start making dinner and stuff like that or whatever. I mean, I suppose you probably have a virtual assistant. I don't.
I do.
You do have one.
I
I just can't get myself to.
So let me just share this with you. I'll just tell
give
you
me
this
some
right
tips
now.
on this because
I was extremely resistant to hiring one.
Right.
Because I thought,
that's where I'm at.
if part of it is control.
That's
Like,
exactly.
if I give up control, then I'm not controlling it, you know, whatever. Well, the truth of the matter is, first of all, as soon as I hired her, it freed up amazing amounts of time for me. Now, she doesn't do everything, but she does a lot of stuff for me.
Right.
And the second thing is, because she does that type of stuff full time, she's better at it than I am anyway.
Right.
She finds better posts and better stuff anyway. And so for me, like, I'm not, like, I don't lose by giving it up to her. I actually gain, but it took me a bit to even allow that to happen because I wanted control. Because we writers control, like we want to control our career, and so much of our career is already out of our control that then we go,
Right.
well, I'm not going to turn over my social media to somebody else, or I'm not going to turn over this to somebody else. But if we
Right.
do, it really is a huge relief. It's a huge relief to just not worry about it, and sometimes see a post and go, man, that's a really cool post. Oh, that's mine. Like,
So what does she do for you specifically?
So she handles my email send outs. Like, I tell her what to put in the email, but not how to put it in the email. And so she
Right.
structures all that stuff. And then she handles all my social media. And I have a social media scheduling program that's called Vista Social. It's similar to like Hootsuite and stuff like that. And basically, you can schedule stuff ahead of time. Just that I got a smoke and deal on the software from AppSumo, which all writers should know about.
Right.
So I got a smoke and deal on the software, and so she schedules everything through there.
Okay.
So I don't do any of it. Now I still go on social media from time to time and do like individual and personal posts and stuff like that. And she doesn't do that.
Right.
But she handles all of my business posts in the background, all that kind of stuff. And she's actually doing some stuff for me for Idaho Writers Guild and stuff like that as well, because I don't want to do it.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do it. And if I can pay her a little bit to do it for me,
Right.
it frees up huge amounts of my time and my energy and lets me put that towards writing and other tasks.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's
yeah.
the whole point, to try to be able, to get more words in. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
Tom Schreck had, you know who Tom Schreck is, right? The mystery writer, also from Albany, and he's he's like, here's my guy, use him, and the guy, and I'm like, the guy's emailed me even a couple of times, and he's like, I'm here for you, whatever, and he's from India, I think, so it's not expensive. But I just can't get myself to relinquish that control.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my gal's from Seattle, and she's a little more expensive than if I got somebody from Pakistan or whatever.
Right.
But the other thing I found is that she's very efficient. If I give her 10 hours a month, she does more in that 10 hours a month than I could easily with social media. Like,
Right.
she does tons of work during that amount of time,
Right.
but like, I couldn't duplicate that.
Right.
And then, she does work for Writers Guild. I give her some more hours for that.
Right.
But and so really, even at $20 an hour, it's cheap.
Sure.
A couple $100 a
Yeah,
month,
you can't beat it.
and I don't have to do it. So, for me, that's worth it, because a lot of this writer's life stuff that we have to do, some of the marketing and things like that, is not my favorite thing to do.
No.
And I look at it that my time is better off spent writing or doing something else where I'm actually getting paid and making money.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, that's the important thing for me.
Yeah. I gotta do this. I gotta make this shift. And I think there's a couple things I'm gonna shift for 20, we're writing right now for late December. So basically this year's shot. So I'm gonna make some changes. A couple of, nothing huge, but I'm gonna make a couple of changes, and as soon as 2024 rolls around, I think that's gonna be one of them.
Yeah.
Is utilizing a virtual assistant. I mean, I even thought about, like, maybe an intern, a college intern, because but then
you can do that too.
I've heard that can be a disaster.
The problem with college interns is that they come and go.
Right.
So if you hire a virtual assistant that you can have for a long time, and like, my gal was already doing it for other people, so she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like, I tell her, my mail list is MailerLite. She knows what MailerLite
Right.
is. She knows how to maneuver it. She knows how to handle it.
Yeah.
The social media scheduling program is easy to manage.
Right.
It's super easy for her to do. So, but I have somebody who knows what they're doing. My biggest issue is, like, regardless of who you get, you have to train them, at least initially. Like, this is
Right.
what I like. This is what I want. And
Right.
I don't want to retrain somebody. So I don't want an
Yeah.
intern, because I don't want to retrain somebody every few years.
Yeah.
I just want to train somebody and let them go do their thing. And I don't want to really think about it that much,
Right.
again, unless I have to.
I think that's a good move.
So,
I think that is an excellent move. My whole thing about 2022, 2023, and it'll be 2024 and 25. My priority, even more than selling books, is to write books and stories and novellas, and to get them out systematically, monthly, and or even bi-weekly, and then I'm thinking, like, and then I can really start, put a little more emphasis on marketing. But I should probably figure out a way to do both.
it's hard. The balance is hard. And as you all know, there's also the balance of just balancing that with real life. Like,
Yeah.
I need to take care of myself. I need to eat food. I need to,
Right.
go outside
Yeah,
from time
right.
to time.
You're a
and
human
see that
being, yes.
giant orb in the sky and go, what is that?
Right.
That's amazing. But anyway,
Right.
I have a dog that enables me to do that, because he wants to go for walks, and he,
Right.
will harass me
Sure.
if I don't take him for a walk.
Right.
So but that balance between the business and the marketing and writing is really hard to achieve for a lot of people. But if you can kind of at least get somewhat of a balance going, it really is a big help.
Right.
It's just that it's always about writing. Like, people are, like, so concerned about, what's happening with Amazon and what's happening with AI. And I'm like, what's happening is, every day you get up and write and keep doing your job, because honestly, there's not much you can do about Amazon.
No.
If they change their algorithm, guess what? Uh, Do they care that I care about that? No,
Right.
they're not going to change anything for
Right.
me or for you or for any of us. We're not big enough fish. So we keep writing and we
Right.
figure out how to sell our books regardless of what those places do.
Absolutely. And then there's like, I mean, I know at least for me, like, if I get my primary writing hours are like initially are like 7 to 10, right? And then I go, like you, I go for a run and lift weights and all that stuff. But like if I get a call first thing in the morning and it says mom, yeah, I'm like, oh, means I got to do something this afternoon, like, but you have to make time for stuff like that, and sometimes my sons, they have a mail order business or whatever, and they'll be like, can you maybe drop this off for me at the post office or whatever? And I want to help out, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll figure it out. You know, which is, I think, one of the reasons I spend so much time in Italy is because I actually don't have these problems. It's just writing constantly all the time, and I could, I pick up like an extra 2 hours a day or something like that. I don't know, whatever it is. But
yeah.
Speaking of, I just want to transition a tad. There's all this stuff been going on with Amazon, and they're the lawsuit now, the federal lawsuit against them, and who knows how that's going to turn out and how long it's going to take or whatever. But I know for me, like 85%, if not more, of my income is still Amazon. And I actually feel like at this point, and I'm not coming down on them, but that drafted digital is almost worthless unless you have a BookBub or like a Bargain Book City or whatever to get some of the numbers going. I don't know if for me, I've pulled my books out too many times and put them back, pull them out, put them back, pull them out, put them back, and if that's affected anything. But I'm not doing nearly the numbers I used to do on that platform. Stop it. So I was just wondering what your experience is.
So I think this is the thing about draft to digital and other platforms like that is the biggest issue is marketing. So the reason that for a long time, like I did everything with Amazon, is because it's simple. I have one link to point to for my books. Right. So marketing wise, that means I'm marketing to one place. Now, the disadvantage is if something happens with Amazon or if the numbers drop or whatever, well, then I'm kind of in a position, but I'm also kind of in the position Hugh Howey was in, a ways back where him and I talked about this a lot, where it was like, the good thing is, yes, you have all your eggs in one basket, but you can move your eggs.
Right.
They're still your eggs.
Right.
So you can move them quickly if you need to. But I've transitioned to some things, especially nonfiction, are like out through draft to digital and wider. And I'm moving towards doing like direct sales and some other stuff as well, just because I feel like Amazon's days of absolute dominance are numbered, number one. Number two is draft to digital. So it used to be that the majority of ebook sales was the US, period. Well, now the US has dropped to about 52% of worldwide sales. Well, a lot of the world does not use Amazon. They use Kobo or they use Nook or whatever it is that they use. And so being wide in those platforms does give you some options for stuff outside the United States. So what I find is some of my books do well outside the United States, and for those going wide makes sense.
Right.
For some of them, like the Capital City Murders series, okay, that's about state capitals in the U.S.
Right.
How big of an appeal does that have in India? Well, not much, honestly. Right?
Yeah.
So instead, I can keep that in Amazon. I can keep that in the U.S. and it doesn't hurt me at all.
Right.
But other books, I feel like there is an opportunity to go wide. But as far as seeing like big numbers from that not yet. I think it's coming.
I think it's coming.
Day is coming.
I do, and that's why I'm I've made this commitment. I am not going to move, the 60 or so books I have, I draft to digital back to Amazon. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Occasionally, maybe one series just for the fuck of it, maybe just whatever, but
Yeah.
not like I used. I mean, for a while, I was just like jump and ship, And I know that they say that's not a good idea, so I think if I keep it there for a while again, it'll pick up.
Yeah.
But what I definitely do is as soon as a book comes out, I throw it into KU for the 3 months, sometimes twice. Sometimes I'll run it for 6 months and then shift it over to draft to digital. Just because, just like you're saying, like what if everything does go south for Amazon or whatever this is happening, and the transition will, readers will have no choice but to go over to those platforms or whatever. So.
Well, and I've heard of people doing it the opposite too, where they start wide and they basically, for the first 90 days or whatever, everything's wide. It's on draft to digital. It's everywhere. And then they go, okay, at 90 days, the book's 90 days old. Now I put it in KU, and they just have readers that know if you want the book early and you want it, then you either have to buy it through Amazon or buy it wide. But if you're a KU reader and you have that Kindle Unlimited subscription and you want to move into that, then 90 days from now, my book will be available there. And their readers have kind of just come to accept. I think the biggest thing is if you do it consistently,
Right.
either set of your readers isn't really going to be upset with you.
Right.
If you say this book is exclusively Amazon for 90 days and then it moves to wide,
Right.
or if you do it the opposite, it's wide and then it moves to, as long as you're consistent with that, I think that's fine.
Right.
Or if you just decide, well, I'm going to sell it all the places, but the primary driver, because the big advantage of going direct and the primary driver being your website is you only have one place to advertise to. You're advertising primarily to your website, and then if people want to buy your books elsewhere, they can go there from your website.
Right.
But your website becomes your primary store.
Right.
So that is an advantage.
Right. And I think that's what we're all looking for our website to be our primary store. One thing, speaking of marketing, I came up with this, listen, if I came up with this, I'm sure you've thought of it already and a whole bunch of other people. But anyway, and this is a benefit of KU, having a certain amount of books in Kindle Unlimited. And this is free. It's a free marketing plan. What I do is, at the end of the month, I set up a single free day. You have to have a lot of books, and you do. I set up a single free day for 30 days or 31 days for each individual KU title. And so that, people always take advantage of the free days. Occasionally, I'll run a what's the other thing they had? The promo they have, the Kindle Countdown. Maybe I'll do that.
Kindle Countdown. Yep.
But the point being is that eyes are on those books, and hopefully, it ends up resulting in sales for the books that aren't free. And it's been a neat little way to market without having to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And by the end of the month, everything has gotten attention. Every single book, whether it's sold 3 copies or 20 copies, or I've just given away 5 copies. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's one really huge advantage, I think, of KU if you want to do tricky stuff like that. And there's actually no trick to it. It's very easy to set up if you want to do it. But
I've done a couple sales with the Capital City Murders series where I would set the first book or the first couple to free under the free deal. And then I would have a Kindle Countdown deal for the rest of the series all at the same time and say, look, at this particular time, you can get this entire series, 16 books so far, for $32.
Right.
And people go, oh, yeah, I'm all over that.
Sure.
And then there's always a long tail that happens after that of sales that continue to come through for the series after those free days and countdown days are over. So it does pay off. But I like that idea of throwing in just a freebie. I have enough books. I can throw in a freebie.
Yeah, one a day.
Every 30 days.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yep, not. And if
Yeah.
you don't have enough books, then just throw it. Do like 3 days or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
what are you using for your funnel, like Book Funnel, for instance? I use Book Funnel. I don't know if it's the best platform or not.
So I use a combination of BookFunnel and Story Origin, and the only thing I use Story Origin for is primarily review copies
Oh, okay.
because it's a good platform for review copies. However, so I was using both because Story Origin was a little better. However, BookFunnel has made a lot of improvements
Yeah.
in theirs. So I may switch, especially as I switch to direct sales, may switch everything over to BookFunnel.
Right.
Just from a business perspective,
Right.
it's the primary thing is it's easier. Again, like a lot of what we're looking for as authors is efficiency, right?
Yeah.
And so having the one link to market to, whether that's your website or Amazon, is efficient. So having one place to go to post my review copies and all that kind of stuff is more efficient. It's just faster. And I like faster because it saves me,
Yeah.
it gives me that time to go write instead of goofing around with the 4 million other things that we have to do.
Right.
So,
I mean, but it's like, I'll use my Substack, to say like, oh, free books, whatever. And it just kills me. Like I'm giving away these, like, I want them to be buying my books, right? I'm so selfish. Troy, I'm so selfish. It's unbelievable. I'm always thinking about me, this guy. I got to be thinking about other people.
but this is the interesting part of that though. Like we as authors kind of have to think about ourselves. And it's what's really nice to me is when you find fans and readers that understand that. Like, hey, we have to, in order for us to keep writing for you all the time, we have to somehow make money. And that
Right.
means we do kind of have to focus on ourselves. Like, we want you to buy our books, not because we're like going for like neither one of us are driving a Mercedes G Wagon and,
No.
you know, like you traveling the world, right? With
Right.
an entourage or something. I'm not
Right.
Taylor Swift
No.
here,
Yeah.
but
No, I go with my
you know what I
backpack.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, my backpack and, like, and my dog is my guard. That's my security team.
Right.
But, but you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like we want, we need to be able to make a living. That's how we do this. That's how we continually do this.
Right.
And so the more that people understand that, like, and that's a lot of what's driving direct sales is authors are helping their readers understand this is where I make the most money, which helps me be able to write more stuff for you.
Right.
If you support me actively in pursuing what I'm doing, well, then I make more money and I can actually keep writing.
Right.
And that's really important.
Yeah. Because at this point, I'm 59. There ain't no going back.
No.
Take early Social Security. That'll help. But if I even need it. But
Yeah.
one last question. What was I going to ask you? I forget what it was, but in any case, well, what books you got coming out next?
So next I just released the second in my crazy Karen and Cthulhu series called Karen and the Black Hills of Death.
Yes. I think that is a wild series.
The first one I wrote literally on a dare. I wrote Call of Karen on a dare.
Right.
And it turned out to be a wonderful dare because people love that. It's it's one long junior high joke, but it's
right.
It's a great book. But then after that, so I have coming out a compilation that I wrote with Kristen Lamb,
Right.
a series of short stories. It's called What the Hell Did I Just Read? There's 13 short stories in there.
I saw that.
Every one of them, you'll ask at the end of it, what the hell did I just read? So it works out really well. So that's coming out in October. In November, I believe I have two more slotted by the end of the year, and I can't remember which ones are which.
It's amazing.
Anyway,
it's amazing how our brains just get fried towards the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the truth is this: like we're always releasing titles. So I just have this list of like things that are going on, what I'm working on now, what's releasing next, that type of thing, because,
Right.
like you and I we're like constantly, it's a constant churn.
And do you? I sometimes forget I wrote something,
Oh,
and I find it. I'm like, holy crap! I wrote this 3 years ago, and it's just
yeah,
been sitting there.
or like I had the experience once of like a typewriter repair shop, which is a novella I wrote years ago. I had a reviewer who I knew. She wrote a review, and she wrote this really cool quote in the review. And I was like, "Hey, that's a really cool quote. Where'd you get that? Because I'd like to use it." And she goes, "You wrote that in your book." She goes, "That's in your book." And I was like, "Really?"
Wow.
I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
pretty good."
Really?
I forgot that I wrote that.
Early onset.
I mean, I don't go back and read my old books and stuff like that. Like, you and I rewrite a lot, so I'm
Right.
like, I don't remember everything that's in that book.
Yeah.
You could tell me something was in there, and I'd say, "Yep, probably."
Yeah.
It sounds like me.
Yep. I can recall Paul McCartney saying, like, I don't even remember how to play most of the Beatles songs. I have to, like, if we break them out in concert, I got to, like, learn them again, I was like, wow, how could that be? It wasn't until I had a body of work, literary work, or, if you want to call it that, that, people will mention a title to me, and I'll be like, or they'll be like, what was, what's the name of the certain book you have, like, that came out like 3 years ago? And I'll be like, I don't know. I got to go online and look for it,
Yeah, I go, hang on just a second. I go on Amazon and look under my name so I can see my own stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, what happened with this book? And I'm like, which book?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All
But I mean, that's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. All I know is, like, what's in front of my face right now. And I think I mentioned this yesterday in my podcast, but, like, my titles are becoming much more direct instead of, like, the woman who wasn't there or something like that. Like, it's, like, if I'm writing about a plumber who's a bad guy, it's called The Plumber. And if, I just finished Deranged Fan, because it's about a deranged fan, and I'm finding, like, the more direct I get, the more, not that it's easier to remember, but just, like, the more happier I am about it for some reason, and hopefully, I don't know if it'll translate into sales, but certainly I'm having a hell of a lot of fun writing it. But
right, and that's certainly a part of it too.
Yeah.
This writing life is hard enough. We got to have fun when we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of which, I got to go pick up my Jeep. I just got an oil change after 4 months. Never let your stuff go 4 months without an oil change.
I know, that's terrible. Although my truck needs an oil change. I just cleaned it this week because my dog is a princess and wanted a space behind the seat. But anyway,
I think I need to move into your house, because I need your constant guidance, dear Führer, of Idaho.
Oh my!
We need to have a Troy Lambert movement, like, because so much. You're so knowledgeable, and you put me to shame.
We'll just build a compound, put up a funny flag.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out now.
Yeah. It'll be all good.
We'll make our own flag. I'll start thinking about designs.
There you go.
All right, brother. Yeah, great chatting with you, and I'm sure we will talk probably tomorrow about something or whatever.
Exactly. All right.
And
we'll see you later, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, and everybody else, I will talk to you. What's tomorrow? Yes, actually, I have Frank Scalise, aka Frank Zafiro, on tomorrow. So that should be an exciting show. Former Cap. So
awesome.
we'll see you tomorrow, and ciao ciao.